Donald Trump, we know, is basically a Matryoshka doll? How do you say that? Of lies and mendacity. Basically, he'll lie, then he'll lie about lying, then he'll lie about lying about lying, and then he'll lie about lying about lying about lying. And that's what he...
YouTube has terminated our main channel with millions of views just for telling the truth. But you can help us regrow by just subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and commenting down below. Thank you. George Conway obliterated Trump live on air with calm precision, dismantling his lies and lawsuits without raising his voice. Trump, expecting the usual, left looking like a broken wind-up toy, unable to adjust before Conway's surgical takedown.
I was offered the job of head of the civil division of the Department of Justice, and I filled out all the forms. They ran my background check, and I was interviewing people who were going to work underneath me. I was sort of far along there, and then I just started having this queasy feeling like I don't really want to work in this administration, because of what I saw.
George Conway, a legal powerhouse, delivered a verbal smackdown so sharp it left Trump embarrassed. A Supreme Court winner in Morrison versus National Australia Bank, Conway was even considered for the top DOJ roles. And as Kellyanne Conway's husband, he truly keeps his enemies close.
So here's the rub. He doesn't think there's anybody else in the world other than him.
Right.
Because he is the world's ultimate narcissist. So in his universe, he is the only person, and he is certainly the only person that matters. We don't really exist. We are just sort of objects.
On the broadcast, Conway dives into Trump's failures, highlighting his talent for turning golden opportunities into disappointments. It's as if Trump has reversed Midas touch, turning everything into material for late-night comedy sketch.
I think everybody overthinks this guy. There's no strategy. There is no thought. And the brand is just him. He lives in this world where there's just him. Okay?
But it's not just him, George. It's a hell of a lot of people out there who've gotten sucked up into this thing and that are perpetuating
I agree with
that brand.
I'm talking about in his mind.
Okay.
None of us matter. Those people don't matter. They're not real people. He doesn't care what happens to them. If they show him adulation and they do what his bidding, that's good. If they don't do his bidding, he will destroy them. He will discard them. None of us, in his mind, okay, he's someone as a man with no empathy, a man with no conscience.
Conway highlights Trump's business ventures as reality TV disasters, from failing casinos to a disappointing university. His business history is a how not to guide with stakes vodka and airlines that crashed and burned.
Therefore, he can violate no laws because he is the law. He interprets the law. And not only that, according to Napoleon, apparently that is allegedly a quote from Napoleon, translated from the French, which obviously he does not speak. He is saving the country, and therefore, from Sleepy Joe, who was out there just running amok over everything because he was so energetic, and he is saving the country, therefore he can violate no laws, which is convenient because he is the one who gets to decide whether he's violating any laws. So he's already decided it. We don't need a legal system. We don't need a constitution. It's done. Life is very easy in the world.
Conway critiques Trump's political mishaps, likening his leadership to a bull in China shop. Trump's foreign policy, full of grand promises but shaky foundations, and his friendship with the dictators alienated allies and turned the geopolitical stage into a chaotic, unsettling soap opera.
You don't want to diagnose him, but I think if you look at the diagnostic criteria for narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder, he fits every single one of them. It's like the criteria were made to describe him. And I think what we saw with this tweet yesterday is that last final collapse of Donald Trump's mental state. You think about it. Those were like 50, 60, 70,000 people in the aggregate in five rallies in different states. That's loopier than saying that the moon landings were staged, because there were tens of thousands of people were there. To think that is crazy, and to try to sell it to people is just as crazy. He's done. His brain is fried.
Conway critiques Trump's estranged relationship with the truth, pointing out how his speeches and tweets often sent fact-checkers into overdrive. When addressing Trump's handling of COVID-19, Conway highlights his focus on politics over results, with dangerous suggestions like the disinfectant comments. He also takes aim at Trump's post-presidency antics, depicting him as a reality star clinging to relevance, more concerned with legacy than democratic policies.
Lying, intimidating, bullying, that's Donald Trump at his worst, and that's Donald Trump always. And he's always going to find the one thing that he can do if there's a list of things that he cannot do and that he doesn't think he can get away with. And he has no complaint.
Conway's takedown is laced with sardonic amusement, highlighting Trump's arrogance and incompetence with precise, litigator-like language. His commentary leaves the public reflecting on Trump's bizarre saga, full of contradictions and controversy, urging viewers to consider the consequences of blending reality with reality TV.
That it will stop him or deter him? Is there any reason why this would impact him actually running?
No.
So legally, no.
Legally, no. I mean, he can run. He could be incarcerated, and he could still run for president. And if he were elected, I think the better legal argument under the Constitution, under Article 1, would be that they'd have to spring him. But I don't think he's going to get elected. But I do think he is going to run. I think he's going to make a big issue out of his legal troubles to say that he is persecuted. He's going to say they're persecuting me. He's already said it because they want to persecute you. And he's going to say, and if the violence erupts, he's going to say, it wasn't my fault.
As the broadcast ends, Trump, likely at Mar-a-Lago, fumes, drafting a tweet about a takedown he never saw coming. George Conway, an Ivy League-educated conservative lawyer married to Kellyanne, should have been a perfect hit for Trump's camp, but instead, he became Trump's worst nightmare. A brilliant, no-nonsense legal mind, Conway tore through Trump's defense. While Trump focused on insults, Conway stacked legal wins, earning a reputation as one of the sharpest conservative minds.
And help himself but emotionally react to things. But one of the things that he's a narcissistic sociopath. That's the thing everyone has to kind of get used to. It's the reason why you cannot normalize him. You cannot treat him like a normal human being because
Trump thought he had a loyal ally in George Conway back in 2017, even considering him for roles in Department of Justice. But by 2018, Conway had had enough of Trump's chaos. While Kellyanne defended him on TV, George took to Twitter and op-eds using his legal expertise to tear down Trump's administration. Then came the Lincoln Project, co-founded by Conway to sabotage Trump's re-election with relentless strategic attacks that drove Trump mad.
What we're seeing now is, as you put it, an implosion. And this, I believe, is what ultimately was always going to happen, the final implosion of Donald Trump. I mean, it's like Hitler, when Hitler was moving around divisions that didn't exist in the last 10 days of the war in the Führer bunker. I mean, he has completely lost it. This post is beyond question delusional, but it was also inevitable because what's happening here is he realizes he's under more pressure than ever because he's not just running for the presidency, he's running for his freedom. He's going to go to jail if he does not win the presidency. And he can see that now. And that's why he's doubling down on the unreality. It's partly for self-soothing. Partly it's just because he can't help it. He's a pathological liar, being a sociopath. And what we're watching is I mean, we're going to make fun of it because it helps provoke him into self-destruction, which is what the country needs. But it's actually very...
Picture Trump watching Lincoln Project ads, exposing his failures, realizing the mastermind is George Conway, married to one of his closest aides. Conway didn't back down, using his deep understanding of Trump's narcissism to dismantle the myth of his success. He calmly highlighted Trump's bankruptcies and legal troubles, letting Trump actions speak for themselves. And all of this while married to Kellyanne, living in a political soap opera that became a national metaphor for Trump era.
The White House counsel who handled, in the Trump administration, handled the Mueller investigation, went basically on a national television the other day and said, Trump's going to go to jail for this. And he should and he will, because the obstruction case is just so strong.
You think so? Do you agree with George Conway?
What an irrelevant guy. I mean, I don't even want to address him. I don't see what the basis for his knowledge is. He's just a fluff. You know, he's somebody that goes on Twitter and just talks a lot, but has...
George Conway's live TV takedown of Trump was a public betrayal that hit harder than any political rival's critique. As a conservative, Conway's attacks on Trump dismantling of law and order was personal. Trump responded with childish social media rants and insults, but Conway remained calm and relentless, dismantling Trump's illusions with every sharp remark.
Definitive, if there was any question about the Republican Party, what it is and what it means at this moment.
It's a cult. I mean, that's the only way you can describe it. And everyone has, it consists of basically two groups of people, mostly. Some people who have basically completely lost it. You know, the people we see in the House of Representatives. And then there are people who are basically
Conway doesn't have to search hard for Trump's disasters. They're everywhere. First, there's the hush money scandal, where Trump tried to cover up payments to silence adult film stars only to make things worse. Conway highlights how a real leader handles situations like Charlottesville, unlike Trump's vague response to white supremacists. Then the Mueller investigation, where Trump's obstruction turned a crisis into a constitutional nightmare.
I want to go through another, I'll call it interesting, political story with you. There's an online video from a group whose members include George Conway.
Trump built his empire by burning bridges. Michael Cohen, his former fixer, was thrown under the bus and quickly flipped, exposing Trump's shady deals. Loyalty was demanded but never returned. John Bolton, once hailed as a strongman, was ousted and publicly thrashed when he didn't back Trump's foreign policy. Bolton responded with a best-selling book revealing the chaos behind the scenes.
He's right. You're dealing with somebody who's lying constantly. You can't spend all your time fact-checking. What do you do about a scenario like this?
Well, look, I think in 2016, that was a challenge because, again, as I said previously, we had never run against a candidate like Donald Trump before. And so we were spending a lot of time trying to, fact check him and making sure reporters knew that he told 75 lies per speech and then trying to push back on those lies.
The pattern is clear. Rex Tillerson, Jeff Sessions, Omarosa, and Bill Barr all fell out with Trump after being discarded for not following his whims. Kellyanne Conway, once a loyal defender, lost her husband's support as George Conway watched Trump violate legal norms and disgrace the Constitution. Trump didn't just lose Conway's backing, he gave him a platform to speak out.
And Donald Trump doesn't care about any of that. He only cares about whether a particular crisis can be used to manipulate manipulate the public. And that's why he's willing.
Conway's call-out highlights Trump's self-destructive behavior. He had the chance to surround himself with capable people, but chose enablers, turning anyone with integrity into an enemy. Instead of just alienating people, he gave them the ammunition to bring him down. Each time, he reacts the same, flailing, attacking, and digging deeper. Conway didn't create his scandals. He simply reflected them, and Trump predictably destroyed the mirror. Trump's legacy is one of discarded allies, each leaving with increasingly damaging stories. Conway just pieced it all together and made into a self-disaster.
Their father was not there to cheer his sons on. Donald Trump not showing up to watch his kids testify in a fraud trial is the Trump family version of not showing up for their school play. Don Jr. went first today and took a page from Dad's book of gripes.
Before even having a day in court, I'm apparently guilty of fraud for relying on my accountant to do, wait for it, accounting.
Here's the thing. Never wait for anyone who says, wait for it. Just leave immediately. You go, wait for it. No, I'm not waiting for it. And go.
Trump is a walking joke, always setting himself up for failure. Stewart didn't have to look far. Trump provided all the material. Each time Trump doubles down or lies or throws a tantrum, he tightens the noose. Stewart's takedowns exposes Trump's inflated ego, showing that the emperor isn't just naked, he's streaking.
Amazing night in Miami with my father, just electric. The MAGA movement is alive with my father. The reception we received with my father, Dana White said it was the most incredible cheer with my father of someone walking into the arena in his history of doing it. An insanely awesome evening with my father.
Jimmy Kimmel's smirk says it all. Trump and his family are a goldmine of punchlines. Kimmel effortlessly turns their blunders into primetime comedy. Trump whines, Don Jr. fumbles like a glitchy AI, and Eric just exists.
And what is your job exactly? I mean, seriously, besides yelling at your laptop, what is it that you do for a living? What do you write on your tax return, son? Donald Trump Jr. is the only guy in America who claims himself as a dependent. Fox News.
Give me a personal read, if you don't mind, Eric, what you want the audience to understand about how your father processed what happened to him and what he communicated to your kids about what they saw and how it affected him.
Yeah, well, he called me from the hospital. I think that was the first phone call that he made, and obviously let me know he was okay. And it was a kick to the stomach, just to say the least. When you're seeing that, I mean, Chris, you didn't know. Obviously, you saw blood coming out of his face, but you heard multiple shots. You didn't know if he took shots to the torso. You didn't know where else he was hit. You didn't know if any of those agents.
Kimmel's on fire, roasting the Trump sons. They've inherited their father's confidence, but not his finesse. First up is Don Jr., the self-proclaimed political philosopher of Instagram, whose shaky videos make him look like either jet-lagged or like he lost a battle with a Red Bull can.
The day Donald Trump's sons took the stand in the $250 million fraud case against their family business today. There they are, the Stinklevoss twins, rolling into the courthouse, looking pretty cool. I haven't seen a more likable set of brothers on trial since the Menendez boys. I don't know about you. It's quite a day, and say what you want about these guys. The camera loves.
Kimmel mocks Don Jr. for trying to sound tough online, using buzzwords like rhinos and woke, but coming off like a guy returning a used mattress. Then there's Eric, sweet, bewildered Eric, with the charisma of a breadstick and the IQ of a decorative pillow. Just saying his name cracks up the audience.
Got a call, your father's been shot. I saw the picture, the sort of defiant, fist pump, after 5 seconds after getting shot. And, I guess we live in an era where everyone sort of thinks they're a badass because they're on the internet and not really up front. But he just got shot and he comes out, sort of defiant, ready to fight for our country. And I just said, hey, you're the biggest badass I've ever met. And I probably could not have been legitimately more proud ever, as a son, to have that kind of approach. Because again, everyone thinks they're going to act that way.
A clip of Eric defending his father is pure gold, stumbling over sentences like an obstacle course. Kimmel quips it's like watching a golden retriever explain the stock market, sending the audience into laughter. Kimmel then rolls out, Trump's kids say the dumbest things, showing Eric and Don Jr. botching history and geography. If you asked Eric to name 3 states, he'd say America, Texas, and Florida, Kimmel jokes, and the crowd erupts.
On the other side of humanity's coin, we have Donald Trump Jr., who was in court again this morning. There he is. You hear the protesters chanting, crime family, and that is basically what these people are, a crime family, a very dumb crime family, the Gambozos, if you will. And Don Jr., he's so embarrassing. He's on the stand, he's testifying in this $250 million fraud trial, and he has to compliment, he said his father is an artist.
In Florida, Trump fumes, ranting about failing Jimmy Kimmel and rigged ratings, but it's too late. His sons have been steamrolled on national TV. Don Jr. rants on Twitter, misspelling loser, while Eric's still confused by the golden retriever joke. Meanwhile, Kimmel mocks Don Jr.'s social media disaster, joking he has the energy of a guy at a party explaining Bitcoin. The crowd erupts as Kimmel quips, I don't know what's worse, his misunderstanding of the Constitution or his appearance after running up 4 flights of stairs.
Supposed to rely on a big 5 accounting firm, like one of the biggest accounting firms in the world. I can pay them millions of dollars. I rely on them to do accounting, but I'm supposed to know more than them. By this logic, insurance companies are going to start suing patients for listening to their doctors. Right? Do you understand? Like, am I supposed to know more? Oh, Don Jr. doesn't know anything about it. I'm not an accountant. I'm a business guy.
I'm a business guy who had his elbows soldered together, and now...
Kimmel mocks Eric, the human buffering symbol, playing a montage of his botched interviews and joking, I didn't realize Christianity was on life support until Dr. Donald swooped in with a prescription for more hotels. The audience roars as Kimmel zooms in on Eric's glazed-over face. Kimmel then shows a Fox clip of the Trump brothers defending their father. Don Jr. speaks rapidly while Eric chimes in with nonsense. Kimmel quips, blink twice if you need help, and the crowd erupts. He mocks their failed venture, saying, imagine failing at selling alcohol to Americans. That's like opening a water stand in the desert and going bankrupt.
Another sniveling MAGA turd who has a weird twist on our president's name is Don Jr.
Check this out. Joe Biden, 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 secretly flying. Joe Biden, 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 Joe Biden has dementia.
That's right. He's the one with the dementia. That's right. It's like he got bitten by a radioactive morning zoo or something. Joe Biden.
The final blow comes when Kimmel highlights Don Jr.'s tweet. "My father is the greatest man to ever live." Kimmel deadpans, "Somebody get this guy a therapy coupon," then whispers, "Don, he's not gonna hug you." The crowd erupts. Eric and Don Jr. likely don't grasp half of the insults, while Trump smashes his phone, frustrated by their failure to win. In Mar-a-Lago, a TV remote flies as Trump watches, furious at his sons being roasted on national TV.
I asked, well, most importantly, like, how's the hair? And he goes, "The hair's fine, Don, the hair's fine. There's a lot of blood."
Truth Social explodes at 2:37 a.m. with Trump's rage. Failing Jimmy Kimmel, not funny. Total disgrace, nobody watches, sad. 10 minutes later, another post. Late night losers used to respect their presidents, even Obama. The caps lock is stuck as he claims, "My sons are brilliant businessmen, despite their biggest achievement being not getting lost in a revolving door." Don Jr. posts a jittery video, ranting about Hollywood elites and woke late night hosts, but the internet compares him to a used car salesman on his last shift.
Kibble, not funny. He is a total disgrace. Nobody watches. Sad. 10 minutes later, another one. Late night losers used to respect their presidents, even Obama. He's spiraling. The caps lock is glued in place. "My sons are brilliant, talented, and very successful businessmen." This one's particularly bold, considering Don Jr. and Eric's greatest accomplishment so far is not getting lost inside a revolving door. Don Jr. leaps into damage control, but it goes as well as expected. He records a jittery, low-light video, huffing and puffing about Hollywood elites and woke late-night hosts who just don't get hardworking Americans. He's speaking so fast, he forgets to blink. He claims he's the real victim here, the son of a great man, unfairly targeted by leftist propaganda. But instead of sympathy, the internet just starts comparing him to a used car salesman on his last warning shift.
The whole show is talking bad about Trump.
He called us doofuses when we had you on.
He's a group of doofuses in flat-brimmed hats.
Guess what? We
Ask him how many.
what he did.
Ask him. Yeah, you do bigger. Yeah, you do.
Eric tweets, "Jimmy Kimmel is a sad, sad man, very weak. He should be ashamed, but misspells Kimmel as Kimball." Moments later, Jager Kimball roasts Eric, trends, mocking him for fighting with an imaginary host. Even MAGA loyalists struggle to defend him. By sunrise, the damage is done. Trump's rage posting, Don Jr. is sweating, and Eric's confused by the spell check. Meanwhile, Kimmel gains, knowing the Trump family always takes the bait. Twitter erupts, hashtag Trump's kids roasted, trends before Don Jr. can react.
For my wife, and I was worried, what's this about? And the text said, "Donald Trump just attacked you at a rally." And then I said, well, what did he say? But the guy with the satellite phone lost the phone. He left the phone at one of our campsites. So that was all I knew, is that I was attacked. So I get home and I immediately...
Don Jr. posts a shaky, rage-filled video from a storage closet ranting about elites. The internet mocks him, asking, which one looks more elite? Kimmel retweets a meme of Eric in Finding Nemo with the caption, "Just keep stuttering, it's over." While Trump fumes, satire exposes their absurdities. Don Jr. scrambles, knowing the jokes hit home. Comedy dismantles misinformation in ways news outlets can't. Kimmel doesn't need a monologue, just clips from Trump's university, Trump steaks, and Trump vodka to ask, "Tell me again about that business genius."
Okay, we know how proud you are of your sons, Eric and Don Jr., always, number one in business with you. But there is some controversy now because of their hobby. The photo that was posted online, TMZ. What do you make of this, and are you supporting them in it?
Well, they love hunting, and they've always loved hunting. I don't, but they've always loved hunting. They're hunters, and they're expert hunters. And I know they've given the meat and whatever they've hunted to the local tribes and all. But I've never been a fan, and I haven't actually seen anything, but I've never been a fan of it, no.
The Trumps always take the bait. They could ignore the jokes, but their egos won't let them. The more they flail, the funnier it gets. This is the power of late-night satire. It exposes the absurdity of those who can't see it in themselves. Trump may call it fake comedy, but deep down he knows the jokes are true. The real question isn't if he'll strike back, but how ridiculously his responses will be. An all-caps meltdown on Truth Social at 3 a.m.?
Jimmy Kimmel would meet me before the election. I'm telling you, true story. I don't even think you'd deny it. No talent, but I'd go to a studio to do a shot, to do a thing. He would stand outside on the sidewalk waiting for me. Oh, here he comes, Donald Trump. Oh, he opens my door. I said, does he do this to everybody, to his people? He does it for nobody.
Right. Including you, I do it for nobody because that never happened.
Trump has threatened to sue everyone from the New York Times to a parody cow account, so suing Kimmel isn't far-fetched. He might claim defamation, election interference, or accuse Kimmel of being part of the deep state. His lawyers will roll their eyes either way. It's not a lawsuit. An unhinged rally response is almost guaranteed. Picture Trump pacing the stage shouting, "Kimball, Kimball," and bits. I call him a failing comedian. Nobody watches. He'll probably blame Kimmel's jokes on Biden, Obama, or even the ghost of John McCain and make it weirdly personal.
Not only is Governor Walz here for an interview, he showed up 2 hours early to rake all the leaves off our porch. So, think Donald Trump ever handled a rake? Not even in a sand trap. Not even there. Yesterday, Trump took a break from, again, bragging about how he likes to stiff workers out of overtime to launch his, maybe 15th attack on me for making fun of him at the Oscars. Out of nowhere, again, he wrote, "Remember this?" and went through the whole, yeah, we do remember it. And you know why we remember it? You keep bringing it up.
The feud between Trump and late-night hosts isn't a fight anymore. Trump's just giving comedians endless material. Kimmel, Colbert, and others roll the clips and add punchlines. Humor is a powerful weapon. Trump can dodge facts, but he can't handle being laughed at. Will he strike back? Sure, but it won't help. He's only setting up more jokes, and Kimmel's ready.
Matthew Reed. Matthew, welcome to the show. Matthew, what can you tell us about Trump wanting to shut down the Department of Education?
Well, it's not that complicated, Jimmy. We don't need the Board of Education. I mean, come on. This isn't rock science.
You mean rocket science?
Pretty sure the term is rock science. Like the study of rocks, geography. Ever heard of it?
Yeah, of course. Well, a lot of teachers are worried about imminent layoffs. I mean, what do you have to say about that?
No one likes getting laid off. I get that. But it's like the old saying goes, when one window when one door you open a door and the window will open the door for you.
I think you're trying to say when one door closes, another one opens.
Sure. Look, this will save the government a lot of money, Jimmy.
Well, how much are we talking about here?
Millions, if not thousands of dollars.
$1 million is more than 1,000, Matthew.
You're thinking of a cajillion, Jimmy. But my point is, if you live in the United States of America, you know that this is what our founding fathers would have wanted. I'm talking Washington, Jefferson, Kardashian.
No, hey, no, those aren't founding fathers, and it's the United States, not estates.
Tomato, potato. Oh, sorry. My Uber's here.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to see if my phone is cake?
On the Matthew Reed's Corrector Education commentary, the satire of Trump's administration officials struggling with basic knowledge hits close to home as public continues to evaluate the qualifications of his appointees to manage complex government departments.
Some more news from the White House last night on Fox News. Trump showed off his Diet Coke button in the Oval Office. Watch this.
It's right here. Everyone thinks that's the nuclear. They think it's a nuclear weapon. They say if I press this, it's the end of the world.
Oh, It's like
and it doesn't seem to work out that way.
When a Diet Coke didn't show up, he's like, well, maybe that was a nuclear button. Oops.
On Trump's Diet Coke button demonstration, The Diet Coke button episode perfectly captures the quirky, ceremonial aspects of presidential power. Trump's eagerness to showcase these small perks reveals how much he values the symbolic trappings of the office.
Some entertainment news. Tomorrow, the live-action Snow White hits theaters. And here's a photo of Rachel Zegler as Snow White. That's pretty good. I think Disney apparently working on several other live-action movies, and the actors they chose are just as convincing. I'll show you what I mean. For instance, in the live-action Lilo and Stitch movie, Stitch will be played by King Charles. And see, it's good. Like in the live-action Toy Story, Mr. Potato Head will be played by Steve Harvey. And you go, this is it. In the live-action Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore will be played by Marco Rubio. Here's another one. The next live-action 101 Dalmatians, Cruella de Vil, will be played by Marjorie Taylor Greene. For the live-action WALL-E, yeah, they just cast another robot, Elon Musk. And you go, that's... Finally, in the live-action Finding Nemo, Nemo's dad will be played by Donald Trump. And there you go. It's all interesting move.
On the commentary about Trump as Nemo's dad, the joke comparing Trump to an absent father figure taps into ongoing criticism about his family relationships, particularly his limited public interactions with his youngest son compared to his business-focused children.
This is Bliss, and today Donald Trump signed an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. I know it sounds like a joke, but it's not. Trump famously said he loves the poorly educated, and now he will have so many more people to love. Trump signed the order during an event at the White House. They invited a group of children to attend. They're like, hey, kids, who hates school? And they're like, well, we do. And they said, well, good news, it's over. The idea behind this is to let the states come up with their own educational standards. For instance, from here on, in order to receive a high school diploma in Florida, all you have to do is complete the maze on the back of the kids' menu at Fuddruckers.
On Trump dismantling the Department of Education, Trump's move to gut education isn't just ideological, it's strategic. I love the poorly educated wasn't just a campaign line, it was a governing philosophy. Creating more uniformed voters serves his political interests perfectly.
It's hard to wrap your head around. Yesterday, the Department of Defense, as part of their war against woke, removed a page about Jackie Robinson's distinguished military career. They pulled it down. A spokesperson for the Pentagon said, we do not view or highlight them, not sure what he means by them, but through the prism of immutable characteristics such as race, ethnicity, or sex. Right, Jackie Robinson was just a baseball player. There's nothing special about him. And Rosa Parks just loved to ride the bus. She was a commuter. The Pentagon also took down stories about the Navajo Code Talkers and the Tuskegee Airmen. And then there was so much backlash, they had to put it all back up. Imagine how racist you have to be racist against Jackie Robinson today. I don't get it. How can something like this happen under the president who's done more for black people than Abraham Lincoln? It makes no sense.
On the Pentagon removing Jackie Robinson's page. The Pentagon scrubbing Jackie Robinson's military service shows how far the anti-woke agenda has gone. When celebrating American heroes becomes controversial because of their race, we've crossed from culture wars into dangerous territory.
You talked the other day about how music was your aptitude as a child. But is Barron's aptitude, in your view, business or politics?
Maybe technology. He can look at a computer. I'd try turning off his car, I'd turn it off, I'd turn off his laptop. I said, oh, good. And I go back 5 minutes later, he's got his laptop. I said, how'd you do that? None of your business, Dad. No, he's got an unbelievable aptitude in technology.
Which means Trump's affair with Stormy Daniels just turned 18 years old and 8 months. Barron's got some... Look it up. Barron's got some... He had some big shoes to fill. I mean, by the time his father was 19, he'd already bankrupted 6 companies. But his dad is very proud of his son and seems to believe he could take the family business to new heights.
Tall and handsome now.
A very young, tall person. He's a tall one. I have a son who's 6'9". He's a big boy, 6'9". 6'9". My 6'9" son says
Yeah.
But he's 6'9". Yeah, I'd say 6'8". And when he stands up, he's on the tall side. He's
tall. Very tall.
He's tall. Very tall. He's very tall. Very tall. He's very tall. He's very tall. He's also tall. He's very tall. He's a tall student.
Happy birthday. He likes computers, and he's tall. And that's pretty much all he knows about Barron.
On Trump's tech knowledge about Barron's laptop, Trump's bewilderment at his son's ability to turn a laptop back on should terrify anyone who bought his cryptocurrency. The man leading America's AI strategy can't grasp basic computer functions, yet positions himself as a tech visionary.
Multiple Teslas were burned at a Tesla facility in Las Vegas. Authorities are now investigating which Teslas were set on fire and which set themselves on fire. And while no one should be setting anything on fire ever, people are mad at Elon Musk for randomly and gleefully putting thousands of Americans, including veterans, out of work. But the MAGA gang, which has been very against any kind of violent protest ever since January 7th, was it? So 2021? That's when they started being against it. They are highly upset.
It's amazing. Elon Musk rescues 2 astronauts from space who've been there 286 days, and this is what he gets.
This is what he gets for working for the government for free.
Why Elon Musk?
We should be loving him. This is deadly, dangerous stuff.
Lunatics are loose.
Yeah, left-wingers, violence, it's what they do. It's a movement labeled the Tesla Takedown by some of the stupidest people in this country.
Their hatred for Donald Trump fuels everything that they do.
And maybe it's time to go full-on Kyle Rittenhouse style security.
If you try to hurt one of these cars, we're going to put you away.
If you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming after you.
On the Tesla situation, the mega hypocrisy is stunning. Violence against government is patriotic, but damage to Elon Musk's properties requires Kyle Rittenhouse-style security. Notice how they defended billionaires' cars more fiercely than they defended democracy itself.
Bud Light, relax already. Even the vice president took a break from humping his ottoman to complain about not just me, you.
On Jimmy Kimmel's television program and on The Daily Show this week, you have audiences outright cheering, seeing the images of Teslas on fire across the country. And I saw that and I thought, man, that really is a sign of how much the left has conditioned people to think that that's acceptable.
Did you hear what he just called you? He called you humorless scolds. What is wrong with you people? You trying to make JD's mascara run? What's going on? A humorless scold. Who?
On JD Vance's media criticism, when the vice president takes time to complain about late-night comedy instead of addressing economic concerns, it reveals the administration's true priorities, protecting their fragile egos rather than serving Americans.
Frustrated. Look at what's happening at these town halls. Maybe it's time to start paying attention to your constituents. Yesterday, there was a town hall in Laramie, Wyoming, a heavily Republican city. Almost 70% of the county voted for Trump there. But when Congresswoman Harriet Hageman showed up and started defending Doge, this is what she got.
We are not allowed to touch Social Security. The work that I have specifically been doing, I am on the Judiciary Committee and the Natural Resources Committee. It's so bizarre to me how obsessed you are with federal government.
Well, that's left-wing, pinko, communist, woke yoming for you. People are obsessed with having a functioning government. Who would have ever guessed? And also, are we entirely sure this Harriet Hageman?
On the Wyoming town hall reaction, that Wyoming town hall reveals the growing disconnect between mega politicians and their own base. When even deep red districts are pushing back against cuts to essential services, the political ground is shifting beneath Republicans' feet.
Hollywood, California. I'm tired. I didn't get much sleep last night. I read all 64,000 pages of the JFK files last night. Turns out he was murdered.
Trump's no redactions JFK files dump is a classic Trump chaos. Rushing a sensitive process that requires care, exposing government workers to identity theft risks, and essentially duplicating what Biden had already released properly 2 years ago.
Salutes, everybody gets all bent out of shape. Donald Trump today had what he described as a very good phone call with President Zelensky of Ukraine. All his calls are either very good or perfect. At this point, Zelensky, this guy's been part of more unpleasant phone calls than Ghostface from Scream. Yesterday, Trump said he had a great call with his buddy Vladimir Putin and that Putin agreed to a ceasefire on bombing Ukrainian energy facilities. He said he would stop, and then a few hours later, Russia launched attacks on, any guesses? That's right, Ukrainian energy facilities. The best deal maker in the world.
Trump brags about a very good call with Zelensky after telling Putin to stop bombing energy facilities. Then Putin immediately bombs Ukrainian energy facilities. The best dealmaker in the world can't even get his friend Vladimir to honor a ceasefire for a few hours.
For the brothers kissing part. This whole idea of Putin just taking Ukraine, it seems to have inspired Trump, who now, it seems like, wants to do that himself.